Heartwarming encounter. The incredible moment a little girl revealed her wish to a billionaire CEO. Emily, a bright-eyed girl with dreams bigger than the sky itself, stood in the bustling community center, her heart beating like a drum. She had just turned 7, but her spirit seemed to glow like the sun. Today, the center was alive with laughter and excitement, preparing for a charity event that promised to spark change and hope. Everywhere she looked, people moved with purpose, and it filled her with energy. Emily knew her mother, the dedicated community center director, was on a mission to help families like theirs, and she wanted to make a difference too. In the midst of the chaos, a hush suddenly swept through the crowd. Mr. Thompson, the billionaire CEO known for his philanthropic efforts, had arrived. Emily had heard stories about him, how he was a hero to many but seemed so far away from the lives of those in her neighborhood. Curiosity sparked in her hazel eyes as she pushed her way toward the front. Just a glimpse of him felt electric. Her heart raced. As she approached, Emily was hit by a wave of emotions, her mother's principles of empathy and perseverance swirling in her mind. She took a small breath and mustered all her courage. With a little tremor in her voice, she uttered, "Mr. Thompson." The businessman turned, a kind smile on his face. The stark contrast of his tailored suit against her colorful dress made the moment feel surreal. "Yes, little one. I want to tell you my wish," she said, her voice bubbling with innocence mixed with the weight of her community's struggles. "I want to create a safe place for the kids in my neighborhood where we can learn and play, just like you did when you were little." Her eyes sparkled with hope. For an instant, the world paused. Emily's words hung in the air, filled with genuine longing. Mr. Thompson felt a jolt deep within him. Her heartfelt plea hit him like a freight train. Yet, he hesitated, caught in the plush shelter of his wealth, miles away from the realities that children like Emily face daily. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen." Now let's continue. As the event carried on, Emily felt the spark of possibility lighting the room. Yet, days passed, and a proposal meant to help the center fell through. Her dream felt like it was slowly slipping away, but not for long. With her mother's encouragement, Emily rallied the community. They gathered, united in resilience, inspired by her glowing determination. But the weight of the world pressed upon Mr. Thompson. Watching the energy of the community ignite Emily's dream ignited his own internal struggles. Could he really bridge the chasm between their lives? As Emily's last words to him echoed in his mind, "Will you help us, Mr. Thompson?" Both of their worlds collided. The moment lingered, charged with unresolved questions and the burning desire for change. Would he rise to the occasion, fueled by the unyielding faith of a little girl? And would he discover what it truly meant to serve a community? The tension hung in the air, waiting to be resolved. Days turned into weeks, and Emily felt a heaviness settling around her heart like a thick fog. The vibrant energy from the charity event seemed to fade, replaced by uncertainty and a creeping sense of defeat. She watched her mother, Angela, tirelessly work at the community center, trying to keep everyone's spirits high while dealing with her own heartbreak. They had aimed for something beautiful, a place where laughter would echo off the walls, where the children could escape their realities. But without funds, those plans seemed to dissolve into thin air. One evening, after a long day at the center, Emily looked up at her mother, her little brow furrowed with worry. "Mom, what if no one believes in us?" she asked, her small voice barely above a whisper. Angela knelt down, brushing Emily's curls behind her ear. "Sweetheart, it's not about what others believe. It's about what we believe in ourselves. Remember your wish? We need to keep fighting for it. And sometimes, it starts with one person believing in us." Those words hung in the air, buoying Emily's fading hope. If they wanted to make this dream a reality, she would push through the doubt. Inspired, she set off on a small, ambitious mission to gather the kids in her neighborhood and start planning. They would create flyers, sketches, and even a video, showcasing dreams of a safe haven. They would write letters to Mr. Thompson. Maybe, just maybe, he would return to see how much his presence had ignited a spark in them. As she foraged for new ideas, Emily noticed someone watching her with an amused expression. It was Mateo, her neighbor and best friend, who was always ready for a new adventure. "What's with the serious face, Em?" He chuckled, kicking a pebble. "I'm starting a campaign," she proclaimed as her eyes brightened with determination. "We are going to show Mr. Thompson how much we need a place to play and learn." Mateo grinned, capturing her excitement. "That sounds awesome. Let us get to work." With renewed energy, Emily and Mateo gathered their friends, kids of all ages, drawn by the promise of something more. They worked together, crafting cardboard signs and colorful drawings, showing what their dream center would look like. Laughter echoed through the neighborhood as they rallied. It was a movement fueled by the unwavering belief of children who had nothing to lose. Meanwhile, across town, Mr. Thompson sat surrounded by a sea of overly stuffy suits in his gleaming office. The walls towered over him, too polished, too cold. He had been trying to focus on the numbers and projections, but Emily's voice lingered in his mind, pricking at his conscience. The sound of her innocent wish echoed through the silence of boardroom conversations. He rubbed his temples, but all he could picture was Emily's hopeful smile. That morning, an unexpected email popped into his inbox. It was a video uploaded by the community center, kids explaining their dreams while holding those homemade signs, filled with colors and laughter. They wanted to show him what his presence had meant, and how they wanted to keep that spark alive. As he clicked play, Mr. Thompson felt his heart wrestle with something he had buried deep, a yearning to make a real impact. The kids' voices rang clear, loud with innocence yet heavy with conviction, captivating his attention. Could he ignore this? Or would he finally step out from behind the walls that had guarded him for so long? The weight of the decision pressed against his chest, and he knew he would have to confront it. Would he visit the community center, or continue to distance himself from a world that had previously felt so detached? As the echoes of laughter filled the airwaves, Emily and her friends continued to dream, unaware of the storm brewing within the man who held the power to change everything. Would she get her chance to inspire him once more? Would Emily's wish finally come true? The day was gray, clouds looming overhead like an impending heartache. Emily nervously tugged at the hem of her shirt as she and Mateo stood at the corner of their street, glancing at the community center. They invited everyone to join in, their little band of changemakers preparing for the biggest push of their campaign yet. The excitement buzzed in the air, but so did anxiety. "Do you think he'll really come?" Mateo asked, hands shoved deep in his pockets. "I believe he will," Emily replied, her chin lifted. "If we put our hearts into this, people will see it." Hours passed, each tick of the clock weighing heavy. The kids assembled, a kaleidoscope of colors and hope, each one carrying a piece of that dream. They held up their signs, drawings that shouted, "We want our community center." They sang songs and cheered, shooting smiles at every passerby, hoping to spark interest. Yet, doubt cast shadows in Emily's mind. What if their efforts weren't enough? Then came the moment that changed everything. An unfamiliar black car pulled up near the center, the engine purring softly as the door swung open, and out stepped Mr. Thompson, his suit sharp, yet uncertainty in his stride. The children stopped, their chatter dying down as they turned to look at the tall figure approaching. Emily's heart raced. "Is that him?" Mateo whispered, wide-eyed. Emily nodded, hardly able to breathe. Mr. Thompson's gaze swept over the scene, landing on the brightly colored signs and the hopeful faces of the children. A moment stretched, feeling like forever. "Hey!" Emily shouted, gathering her composure. She rushed forward, her pulse quickening. "Mr. Thompson. Thank you for coming." He hesitated, then walked closer. The kids watched with wide eyes, their expectations held high. "I received your video," he said, a slight crack in his otherwise cool demeanor. "I must admit, it's quite impressive." "We wanted to show you our dream," Emily said, her voice steady despite her nerves. "A place where kids can feel safe and happy. A community center." He studied her, the sincerity in her eyes a powerful tug at his heartstrings. The laughter and energy radiated from the kids, and for the first time in a long time, a small seed of warmth began to blossom within him. "I used to think money was all it took to build something worthwhile," he finally said, pausing. "But I see now it's about heart. You kids have so much of it." Emily felt a flutter of hope. "We believe in this, Mr. Thompson. And if you help us, we can make it real." The stillness hung between them, filled with unspoken words. Then Mr. Thompson took a breath, glancing at the kids surrounding them, and his expression softened. "Let us talk about how we can make this happen." Cheers erupted around them, pure joy exploding into the air like confetti. Even as their electrifying excitement echoed through the community center, an unexpected wave of vulnerability washed over Emily. What if he changed his mind? What if they didn't succeed after all? She watched him, wondering. Just then, the wind picked up, swirling leaves into a dance around their feet. It was a symbol of change and possibility, something new coming into bloom. "Mr. Thompson, can you promise us you won't give up?" she asked, her voice gravely serious as he knelt down to meet her gaze. "I promise I'll do everything I can to help." With those words, Emily felt a warmth spread through her, all doubts momentarily fleeting. Yet, in a corner of her heart, a whisper remained. What truly lay ahead, beyond the excitement? As they began to discuss the next steps, unaware of the storm of emotions brewing within Emily, she felt the weight of hope and fear coiling together. How much would it take to turn this fragile dream into a reality? And what would happen when the foundation of hope was tested? As the cheers quieted, a renewed sense of urgency filled the community center. Emily stood beside Mr. Thompson, her heart thumping in sync with the fervor of her fellow kids. They crowded around, their eyes wide, awaiting the details of what the discussion would bring. She could feel the electricity in the air, thick with possibilities. Mr. Thompson cleared his throat. "First things first," he said, his tone shifting. "We need to establish a clear plan. The community center idea is wonderful, but we need specifics." "Right," said Mateo, his enthusiasm bubbling over. "We can create spaces for art, sports, and even tutoring. It can be a place for everyone." Emily nodded, their conversation picking up momentum. Ideas flowed like a river: game rooms, a garden for the community, even a space for families to gather for classes. Laughter filled the air as the kids spoke over one another, each voice a thread weaving together their shared dream. But in the mix of happiness, Emily felt the weight of reality creeping back. Was there enough money for all of these ideas? Could Mr. Thompson really deliver on his promise? Doubts twisted around her heart, clinging like vines. She caught Mr. Thompson's gaze just as he began to scribble notes. There was something in the way he leaned forward, the intensity in his eyes, that spark of dedication that gave her hope. He seemed genuinely invested in their ideas, as if each word was casting a spell of momentum. "How about we gather stories from the community?" suggested Emily, her voice rising above the joyous chatter. "We can show how the center could change lives." Mr. Thompson nodded appreciatively. "That's a great idea. People need to feel they're part of the process. If you can show them how impactful a community center can be, you'll get even more support." Excitement ricocheted through the children, their energy palpable as they started brainstorming. They tossed around ideas like confetti, igniting a passion within each one of them. Emily felt that passion radiating, a warmth spreading through her. But as the meeting progressed, the buzzing excitement started to fade, replaced by an undercurrent of worry. Reality had a way of creeping back in when the adrenaline rushed. "Mr. Thompson," Emily hesitated, raising her hand for attention. "Once we gather these stories, how do we get funding? What if it's not enough?" Mr. Thompson paused, studying her. "That's a critical question, Emily. You'll need to reach out to sponsors, maybe local businesses, and even apply for grants. I can help guide you on that." Emily swallowed hard, her mind racing. Could they really connect with local businesses? Would they care? The seed of fear started to grow, but she forced a smile. "Okay, we can do that. We'll make it work." After hours of planning, the sun dipped low on the horizon, casting a golden glow on the children's excited faces. The atmosphere sparkled with hope and determination, a stark contrast to the gray clouds that had hovered earlier. But the shadows of reality loomed larger. Emily's heart raced again. What if this all fell apart? What if they couldn't meet Mr. Thompson's expectations? Even as her friends celebrated, she felt fear gnawing at her insides. "We've made amazing progress," Mr. Thompson said, breaking her thoughts. "But let us not rush into this. We'll need time, patience, and support from everyone." Emily nodded, feeling the weight of his words settle on her shoulders like a heavy cloak. It felt monumental, the journey ahead so daunting. Would they find the strength to face the trials? As they packed up to head home, Emily caught a glimpse of the darkening sky. She wondered how many storms they would need to weather to achieve their dream. Would they have the courage to keep moving forward, even when doubts became a cacophony in their minds? And just as those thoughts swirled, a voice called from behind. "Hey, Emily." It was one of the parents, excitement evident in their expression. "I just heard about what you're doing. Can I help?" Her heart leaped. What if this was the turning point? With that question lingering in the air, Emily couldn't shake the feeling that this was only the beginning of a much bigger journey. What other surprises awaited them on this path? Emily turned to face the parent, Mrs. Carter, a vibrant woman known for her warmth and laughter. The way she spoke, filled with enthusiasm, made Emily's heart flutter. "You want to help?" she asked, half expecting Mrs. Carter to change her mind and back away. "Absolutely," Mrs. Carter replied, beaming. "I've been talking about this community center for years. Never had the courage to start it myself, but seeing kids like you all filled with ideas? It's inspiring." A wave of hope surged through Emily. This was the kind of support they desperately needed. "We're trying to gather stories from the community and reach out for funding. Would you be willing to help us with that?" "Of course. I have connections with local businesses and I know how to write proposals for grants. I can help you guys get started." Mrs. Carter's face lit up with certainty. Emily could hardly believe what she was hearing. "We could meet tomorrow after school to brainstorm some ideas. Just think of what we could achieve together." She could almost feel the weight lifting off her shoulders. Everything they had been talking about, all the dreams and plans, were suddenly within reach. That would be fantastic. "Thank you so much, Mrs. Carter." Her friends gathered around them, sensing the energy shift. "What's happening?" Mateo leaned in, eagerness written all over his face. "Mrs. Carter is going to help us," Emily exclaimed, her voice bubbling with excitement. The group erupted into cheers and high fives, a surge of renewed energy coursing through them, but even as their joy unfurled, a pressing thought tugged at the back of Emily's mind. They had one supportive parent in Mrs. Carter, but would others step up? The community was large, yet they had to reach all corners to truly bring everyone together. "Are there any other parents we could reach out to?" Emily asked, her tone shifting back to focus. "Someone with experience might be helpful." "A lot of parents are busy," Mateo noted sadly, deflating the mood a bit. "But they might also be interested if they see how passionate we are." Emily insisted. "I mean, we're kids and we're trying to change our community. It has to mean something to them, right?" Mrs. Carter nodded, impressed by Emily's determination. "Absolutely. We can create flyers to inform the parents and set up a meeting to share our vision. The more people know what we're trying to do, the likelier they are to join us." The energy returned, and ideas began bouncing around the room again like fireworks in the night sky. Together, they discussed how to make their message resonate, how to pull heartstrings and ignite participation. Emily felt a thrill pulsing through her veins. This was what it was about: community, connection, and collaboration. Still, as they wrapped up and planned for tomorrow, Emily felt a shadow lurking in her mind. What if they put all this effort into gathering stories and planning only for others to dismiss their hopes? What if, despite their excitement, the outcome wasn't what they envisioned? Her heart sank momentarily but was quickly lifted by her friends' laughter and Mrs. Carter's unwavering support. They all shared a vision, and together they were strong. As Emily closed the door of her home that night, she held tight to the encouraging words exchanged earlier. She was ready to face tomorrow head-on, but a question lingered: who else in their community would rise to the occasion, championing their cause? That thought gnawed at her, as she fluffed her pillow and settled in for the night. Was their dream truly worth fighting for? And just as drowsiness began to claim her, the question echoed in her mind: what if they could find a hidden champion among their neighbors, someone who had the ability to change everything? Emily awoke with the sun streaming through her window, wrapping her in a warm glow. Today felt different. Today was the day they would put their ideas into action. As she stretched and began getting ready for school, the anticipation bubbled inside her. Her mind raced with all the things they might accomplish. At breakfast, her mother noticed the gleam in her eye. "What's got you so excited, hon?" "We're going to meet with Mrs. Carter after school to discuss the community center," Emily said, her voice bubbling over like a fizzy soda. Her mother smiled, leaning in to give her a kiss on the forehead. "That sounds wonderful. I'm proud of you for taking initiative. Don't forget to ask about her connections." The words flowed through Emily like a burst of courage as she hurried out the door, her backpack bouncing against her back. In school, the day dragged on, but Emily found herself daydreaming about the potential of their project. She could envision families coming together, kids laughing, and creating a space where everyone felt included. At lunch, she shared her excitement with her friends. "What if we had a big kickoff event to launch the center?" suggested Sarah, her eyes bright with ideas. "We could have games and food." "Yeah. A fun day for everyone." Mateo chimed in, giving a thumbs up. Emily felt a wave of pride wash over her. Their enthusiasm was contagious. The bell rang, and they gathered their things, excitement building as they headed to their meeting with Mrs. Carter. The classroom buzzed with their chatter as they approached. Mrs. Carter was already waiting for them, her radiant smile greeting them like a summer breeze. "I'm so glad you're all here. Ready to brainstorm?" "Absolutely," Emily replied, slinking into her seat as the room pulsed with energy. She felt invincible in that moment, surrounded by her friends and a supportive adult. Mrs. Carter outlined what the meeting would involve, taking notes and encouraging participation. Emily felt her heart race as they exchanged ideas, their voices mingling, weaving a tapestry of dreams. But then, as they delved deeper into specifics, a silence fell over the room. "What if no one shows up to our event? What if no parents care?" Mateo's voice was low, the doubt creeping in like a shadow. Emily took a breath. "But what if they do?" The room hung on her words. "What if we reach out in ways that matter? We need to tell our stories, show them how much this means." She could see Mrs. Carter nodding, an encouraging smile stretching across her face. By the end of the meeting, they had created a plan for the flyers, and Emily felt empowered. Together, they had turned doubt into determination, and each voice in that room meant something significant. As they wrapped up, Mrs. Carter pulled Emily aside. "You have a gift for bringing people together, Emily. Don't underestimate how powerful your passion is." Her words were a balm on Emily's worries. It was a reassurance she desperately needed. Walking home later that day, thoughts whirled in Emily's mind. They had built something beautiful in that room, but the challenge was just beginning. Their community might take time to respond. Would others see their vision? As she reached her doorstep, a rustle caught her attention. An elderly neighbor, Mrs. Henderson, was gathering her mail. Emily felt a spark of courage. What if she could share their idea with her? Maybe she would have insights or connections too. "Hi, Mrs. Henderson," Emily called, her voice bright and hopeful. "Why hello, Emily. What's new with you?" She felt her heart race again, this time with purpose. "I'm starting a community project, and I'd love to share it with you." As their discussion unfolded, a new question simmered in Emily's mind. Could Mrs. Henderson be one of those hidden champions she had hoped to find? With each moment, the dream was growing. What if they could change everything? Emily's heart danced with excitement as she spoke to Mrs. Henderson. The elderly woman listened intently, her eyes sparkling with curiosity as Emily explained their vision of a community center, one that could unite the town in a space filled with laughter, friendship, and creativity. "That sounds like a wonderful idea, dear," Mrs. Henderson said, her voice warm and encouraging. "I've lived here for over 50 years, and I know a few folks who might be interested in helping. Tell me more about what you envision." As they chatted, Emily felt a rush of hope. Mrs. Henderson had a wealth of stories about the neighborhood and connections that stretched like roots in a giant tree. Each anecdote brought a new dimension to their project. They were no longer just a group of enthusiastic kids, they were becoming part of a deeper history. "Would you like to help us plan a meeting?" Emily asked, a glimmer of optimism lighting her eyes. "Absolutely. I'd love to bring people together," she replied, her smile widening. "Let us gather some old flyers from the past, they might inspire us." That evening, Emily rushed home, unable to contain her excitement. She dashed to her room, grabbed a notebook, and began jotting down all the ideas blooming in her mind. What if they created posters that told personal stories from community members? What if they hosted a Meet Your Neighbors day filled with storytelling and games? The next day at school, Emily felt fueled with energy. She shared her new ideas with Sarah and Mateo. "Mrs. Henderson wants to help us too. This is becoming bigger than we imagined." "Really?" Mateo's eyes widened in interest. "What if we feature local talent at the kickoff? We could have singers, dancers, and even storytellers sharing their experiences." "Yes. It'll be like a showcase for everyone," Sarah added enthusiastically. They huddled together, drawn into a whirlwind of brainstorming and laughter as they sketched out their plans on a nearby whiteboard, but that evening as she lay in bed, excitement turned to anxiety. What if they reached out, and no one cared? What if their voices went unheard? The doubts nestled in her mind like shadows, darkening the vibrant colors of her dreams. The morning light streamed through her window, illuminating the scribbles and bright ideas scattered across her desk. Encouraged, she remembered Mrs. Carter's words. This was about more than merely hosting an event. It was about building connections, igniting hope. Emily decided it was time to take a leap of faith. She would draft a letter to share with Mrs. Henderson, a heartfelt plea for support and collaboration. It would be an invitation to the entire community, encouraging participation at every level. She could see the potential fluttering just beyond her grasp, waiting for her to reach out and grab it. Feeling determined, she set to work. Words tumbled onto the page as she poured her heart out, detailing their dreams for the community center and how important it was for everyone to come together. When she finished, she folded the letter and slipped it into her backpack, her pulse quickening. "Tomorrow, I'll share this with Mrs. Henderson. She'll know what to do," she thought, confidence brewing inside her like a warm cup of tea. As she prepared for bed, a new question loomed large in her mind, one she couldn't shake off. Would this be the moment that transformed their dreams into reality? Would the community rally behind them? With that thought hanging in the air, Emily drifted off to sleep, her heart beating with the hope and uncertainty of what was yet to come. The next morning, Emily woke to the sound of chirping birds outside her window. The sun peeked through the curtains, bathing her room in a soft golden light. Today would be the day she shared her letter. With a flutter of nervous energy, she dressed quickly, opting for her favorite blue sweater, the one that always made her feel brave. The letter, now neatly folded and tucked safely in her backpack, felt heavy with possibility. As she walked to school, every step was a push against her rising anxiety. What if things didn't go the way she hoped? When she arrived, her friends were already waiting for her by the lockers, buzzing with chatter about the day ahead. Emily's heart quickened as she approached them. Mateo was animatedly sketching something on a notebook, while Sarah was already rifling through her things like a whirlwind. "Hey, Emily! Check this out!" Mateo exclaimed, holding up his sketch. It was a rough idea of their community center, complete with a tiny stage and colorful banners. Emily's heart swelled. "Looks amazing," she said, her eyes lighting up. "I can't wait to share the letter with Mrs. Henderson today. It's time to get everyone on board." They spent the morning buzzing around school, collecting ideas and excitement. Periodically, anxiety would creep back in, but every time it did, She thought of the community center, an emblem of unity, belonging, and laughter. By lunchtime, Emily felt a renewed sense of purpose. At the cafeteria, her stomach knotted as the clock ticked closer to her meeting with Mrs. Henderson. After lunch, the trio made their way to Mrs. Henderson's house, the weight of their mission hanging over them like a heavy cloud. The familiar cozy porch and the gentle sway of wind chimes brought Emily some comfort. She knocked on the door, her heart racing. The door opened to reveal Mrs. Henderson's welcoming smile. "Hello, dears. Come in," she said, ushering them inside, her warm presence easing Emily's nerves. The living room was alive with memories, pictures lining the walls, each frame telling tales of hopes and dreams. "Mrs. Henderson," Emily began, her voice shaky yet determined. "I wrote this letter about our vision for the community center. I really hope you can help us share it with everyone." "Oh, Emily, how lovely!" Mrs. Henderson exclaimed, taking the letter with hands that trembled slightly due to age but were still full of strength and love. "Let us read it together." Emily held her breath as Mrs. Henderson unfolded the letter and began to read aloud. With every word, she could feel the warmth of the room, how each associative story Mrs. Henderson shared filled the air with vibrant energy. When Mrs. Henderson finished, a small tear gleamed in her eye. "This is beautiful. It speaks of hope and togetherness. I can already picture how wonderful this center could be for our neighborhood. Do you think we can gather people for a meeting?" Emily asked, barely able to keep her excitement contained. "Absolutely, dear. We'll put up flyers, organize a gathering, and bring in the whole town." Emily couldn't believe it. They were really doing this. It felt like a spark igniting a longer fuse. She and her friends exchanged ecstatic glances, their hearts pounding with exhilaration and relief. They were building something incredible together. It was no longer just a vision, it was becoming a reality. As they started discussing plans, the doorbell rang, interrupting their energy. Emily watched as Mrs. Henderson opened the door. A stout man with a big smile and a briefcase stepped inside. "Hello. I'm here about the community center," he said, a twinkle in his eye. Emily's heart skipped a beat. Who was he? What did he know? The possibilities spun in her head as she leaned closer, eager to find out what this mysterious visitor had in store for them. Would he help make their dream even bigger? "I'm Mr. Blake," the man said, extending his hand towards Mrs. Henderson with an enthusiasm that lit up the room. "I received your letter about the community center, and I couldn't resist getting involved. I'm excited to hear more." Emily's pulse quickened. A billionaire? Here in Mrs. Henderson's cozy living room? Her mind raced with all the possibilities. What could this man do to help? With a little nervous encouragement from her friends, who were equally curious, Emily took a step forward. "Mr. Blake, thank you for coming," she managed to say, trying to keep her voice steady. "We want to create a place that brings our community together, a safe haven for kids and families to enjoy." "I know how important community spaces are," he replied, his tone warm and understanding. "I've invested in several projects across the country, always aiming to build places where people can gather, share, and grow together." Emily could feel her heart swell with hope. Maybe this was the person they needed. "Do you think you could help us get everything we need?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Absolutely." Mr. Blake grinned. "Tell me everything. What do you envision?" As the words spilled from Emily's lips like a waterfall, she spoke of art classes, sports activities, and even a garden plaza where everyone could plant flowers and vegetables together. Her friends chimed in, adding ideas and excitement to the air, and soon the room seemed ablaze with dreams. "You know, I started my first project because I wanted to bring people together, just like you," Mr. Blake said, a twinkle of nostalgia in his eye. "Every venture starts with a dream, just like yours. I can see the passion in your voices." Emily's confidence surged. "We could organize events too. Music nights, potlucks, anything to not only entertain but to build bonds." "Now you're talking." Mr. Blake laughed, his enthusiasm infectious. "Let us get this started. How about we plan a community meeting next week? We can even have a fun presentation for everyone to see what this center can become." Excitement danced in the room. Emily felt light, as though the worries that had clung to her were finally evaporating. They began discussing the details, throwing ideas back and forth, the air thick with possibility. But in the midst of the excitement, Emily's heart tapped with a flicker of doubt. What if this was all too good to be true? What if Mr. Blake's generous enthusiasm never materialized in real help? "Wait a minute," Emily interrupted, trying to keep her voice steady. "You really believe in all of this? In us?" "Without a doubt." But he paused, a serious look crossing his face. "You all will need to be prepared. There will be challenges ahead. It won't be easy. Are you ready to tackle them head-on?" The weight of his words settled over them, a moment of silence wrapping around the room. Emily exchanged glances with Matteo and Sarah, determination sparking in their eyes. They had already come this far, they couldn't give up now. "Absolutely," Emily said, her voice filled with conviction. The thrill of the challenge only fueled her determination. With plans underway, they embraced this new chapter together. As laughter and discussion resumed, Emily couldn't shake off that nagging thought. In a world of excitement, could they truly handle the storms that might come their way? Just as she pondered this, Mr. Blake reached into his briefcase. "I also brought something to help kick off your meeting," he said, pulling out a stack of materials. "Let us inspire the community in style." Curiosity danced in the air as he began to distribute colorful flyers. Each one seemed to pulse with potential, filled with images that painted a beautiful vision of what their community center could be. As Emily stared down at the vibrant colors and words, she felt a wave of emotion wash over her. This was more than just a dream, it was turning into something real, but as she watched Mr. Blake, she couldn't help but wonder, what secrets lay behind his smile? And would they all be ready for whatever came next? The day of the community meeting arrived, and the atmosphere buzzed with anticipation. Emily stood outside the community center, heart racing as she saw families arriving, kids clutching handmade signs echoing their dreams. The sun shone bright, casting a golden glow on the scene, and as the door swung open, it felt like stepping into a world of endless possibilities. "Are you ready, Em?" Matteo asked, his voice edged with excitement. Emily nodded, feeling the weight of hope swell within her. They had worked hard. Every flyer passed out, every door knocked on had led to this moment. She glanced at Mr. Blake, who was setting up a projector and adjusting the lights, ready to showcase their vision to the crowd. As everyone settled in, a hush fell over the room. Mr. Blake took center stage, his confident presence radiating warmth. "Welcome. Thank you all for coming. Today, we have a chance to discuss something truly special, a dream that Emily and her amazing friends have fought for, a community center for all of us." Cheers erupted, the room vibrating with energy. Emily grabbed Matteo's hand, squeezing it tightly. It was happening. "One of the most powerful things about a community center," Mr. Blake continued, "is that it's more than just a building. It's a place for everyone to come together to share experiences, lend support, and build lasting friendships." As he spoke, Emily's eyes flicked over the crowd, taking in the faces of familiar neighbors, encouraging friends, and supportive parents. A sense of belonging ignited within her. When Mr. Blake finished, he gestured toward Emily, inviting her to share her vision. With a deep breath, she stepped up, her small frame brimming with determination. The spotlight felt bright, but her heart carried the voices of everyone who had believed in this moment. "Thank you for coming. I wanted to create a safe place where kids can learn, play, and explore." A center filled with laughter, just like we dreamed. The crowd applauded, their faces warm with support. As Emily detailed her vision, her confidence grew, and with each word, she felt the walls of apprehension melt away. "We want community gardens, art classes, sports activities, and a comfy space for families to come together. It's not just ours, it's for everyone." Excitement rippled through the crowd, parents murmured encouragement, reconsidering a place they once thought was only a dream. Emily's heart raced as she saw their faces light up with hope too. As she concluded, Mr. Blake turned to the audience. "This is where you come in. We need your ideas, your support, and your passion. Together, we can make this happen. A wave of energy filled the space, and hands shot up as people began to share their thoughts. I can help organize events, called out one parent, enthusiasm achieved in a burst of laughter. I'm an artist. I can run workshops, shouted another. Emily's smile widened, tears threatening to spill. This was it. People were stepping up, answering her call, building a bridge into their future. As the meeting wrapped up, Mr. Blake clapped his hands, announcing, "Let's make it official. Tomorrow, we'll gather right here to discuss our next steps. Let's create this community together." Afterward, Emily found her mom, her heart full, emotions swelling within. "Mom, they actually care. They want to help." Angela wrapped her arms around her, tears brimming in her eyes. "I knew they would, sweetheart. You inspired them." With a wave of laughter and joy, the children eagerly plotted their next steps. But for Emily, one thought echoed in her heart: this was only the beginning. She could see their dreams flickering on the horizon, filled with plantings of hope and possibility. Weeks turned into months, and as the community center took shape, a sense of belonging blossomed. Families gathered, friendships flourished, and every painted wall echoed with laughter and dreams. One sunny afternoon, as Emily and her friends played outside, she caught sight of Mr. Thompson, the man who had hesitated long ago, now smiling as he helped paint the center. "You really did it, Emily," he said, turning to her with a beaming smile. "This place is incredible." And in that moment, she realized her wish wasn't just a dream. It had transformed into a reality, not just for her, but for everyone in the community. "Thank you for believing," Emily replied, eyes shining, heart soaring. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden hue over their triumph, it felt like the promise of a new chapter was unfolding. With laughter and dreams stitched tightly together, they had created something beautiful, proof that when a community comes together, anything is possible. And as you read this, remember, you have the power to make a difference too. Subscribe immediately to the channel to not miss the next exclusive stories. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm, it really helps. Comment your reactions and feelings about the ending, and share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. This is the moment to show your support. Don't wait not even one more second to share.